theyeshiva.net.
A good chodesh, everybody. A good morgen, a good chodesh. This is the second Mishnah, Masechta Pesachim, which begins Daf Tesam and Aleph. After the first Mishnah introduced us to the laws of B'dikas Chametz, that on the night of the 14th of Nisan, a Jew is obligated to be boidik, to search for the Chametz with a candle in every place in the home or in his property where they bring in Chametz. A place where they don't bring in Chametz does not need B'dika. And then the Mishnah discussed the cellars of wine which do need B'dika because they are considered places where you may bring in Chametz. The question is only how deep and thorough do you have to search in those wine cellars, in those martefim, with the argument in Beshami and Besilil. Now comes the next Mishnah and introduces a new question, a new scenario, which should have created, which we might have thought would create a major problem. Ein chayshishin, we're not afraid. In other words, without this Mishnah, we would say we should be afraid. So the Mishnah is saying, Ein chayshishin, we're not afraid. Shema, perhaps, girer a chulda. A chulda is usually translated as a weasel. Sometimes it's translated as a rat. Probably in this case, both would work. Shema gira chulda. Gira means schlepped, pulled, took, fetched, and brought. Maybe a weasel or a rat. I'll say a rat. Maybe a rat. Shema gira chulda. A rat schlepped chametz mi bayis labayis, from one house to another house. What do we mean? So let's see Rashi. Ein chayshishin kshapod agzavizu. When I was spoiling this corner of my home, I finished the first floor. Ubaliv daigzu, and then I come to be boidik another part of my home. Shema b'toich shabaliv daigzu, as I'm coming to search the second section, girir chulda chametz l'makam abaduk. A weasel or a rat went to the place where there's still chametz, and you know rats and weasels and similar types of animals. All animals are always searching for food. Many humans too. Always searching for food. That's the occupation of life. You want to survive. You search for food. Very often, and rats are great experts in this, they have storage places. They dig holes and crevices where they put away food. In fact, sometimes it's surprising how much food they put away for a rainy day. They prepare just like ant colonies prepare food, and bees prepare food, insects and animals, they prepare food. It's a tremendous quality that they have. So therefore, they'll often take food. They're hungry, they'll eat it, but not always. They'll sometimes put away food and just keep it there. So here is the issue. The issue is so the Mishnah is saying, Ein chayshin shema girir chulda mebayis labayis. I finished doing b'dikas chametz in my house. I'm done. Okay? You came home late. So you started b'dikas chametz 10 o'clock at night. I finished 10 o'clock. So now what happens? The rat doesn't know about b'dikas chametz. The rat comes to your house, sees nice bread, and schleps it and puts it where? Puts it in my house, in my basement, wherever it is. Now I have chametz in my house. Shema girir chulda mi bayis labayis, from a house that wasn't checked to a house that was checked. Next, umi makam lamakam. Mela, not a house to a house, but from one place in the house to another place in the house. As Rashi says, I finished the dining room, but the kitchen is still filled with chametz. So the rat who has a hiding place in my dining room, and you have to understand, especially in the Gemarah's times, homes were infested with all types of insects and animals. Even if you live in certain neighborhoods today, it's not a pella that there are quite a few rats or mice hanging out. But then it was even more because of the circumstances and because of the various technologies that we have today in terms of the progress. But nonetheless, this was a very common reality. So shouldn't you be afraid about this? So I finished being boidig this room or this floor. I'm now going to the other one, but in the meantime, the rat doesn't care about my b'dikas chametz, and the rat came and brought chametz. Next. And if you would be afraid of this, what would have been the halacha? The halacha would be a very interesting halacha, and that is, I would have to, let's say I have 3 bedrooms, I would have to hire 3 people or more simultaneously to do bdika everywhere. Simultaneously to do bdika everywhere. Every person in another section or another corner, so that during the bdikas chametz, the weasel or the rat can't schlep chametz from here to there. Now the problem is I finish this room and now I go to another room, so there's time for the weasel to go there and bring back chametz. But if the whole house is clean simultaneously, then we would be good. What would that mean then in terms of houses? In terms of houses, it would mean, the whole house has to be mamish done simultaneously. So we say ein chayshish. Why ein chayshish? She'im de'im kain. If you are going to be chayshish, no problem. But then you got to take it consistently. You have to say mechatzer lechatzer. Then you have to be concerned mechatzer lechatzer, meaning from the houses in one courtyard to the houses in another courtyard. Rats don't say, "Ooh, it's not my courtyard." You should be afraid to. So even if we have 20 houses in a courtyard, like in an apartment building, and we all do bdikas chametz simultaneously, So therefore, as we're doing bdikas chametz simultaneously, we're not afraid that a rat went and schlepped from your house to my house. Okay, so our courtyard is done, but there's a courtyard nearby with another 20 houses. So we finish bdika, they still have another hour for bdika, the rat went and brought chametz back to our courtyard. Now the problem here is not the courtyard. We learned before that a courtyard which is open doesn't need bdika because the ravens eat it. We're talking about the houses in the courtyard. Next, me'ir le'ir. Now you'll say everybody in Monsey is doing bdikas chametz simultaneously. Yeah, okay, me'ir le'ir. From one city to another city, you have the same problem. From one village to another village. Our whole village finished bdikas chametz. That village nearby didn't finish bdikas chametz, and the rat brought chametz. And then what would happen? It says ein ledavar sof. Basically, this thing has no end. You could continue to be concerned forever. This has no end. In other words, there's no solution. There's absolutely no solution. So what is the Mishnah telling us? Something very interesting. The Chachamim are not choishesh to something that has no solution. You're right. Can I be afraid? Could it happen? Of course it can happen. Of course it can happen. I finished bdikas chametz, and then Erev Pesach in the morning, a rat came and brought bread, a nice piece of bread into my house, and you know what? I'm over, I'll buy you rub, I'll you Monsey, tashbisu, I have chametz in my house. If I didn't do bittul min ha-Torah, you're right. It's a good chash. We say ein chayshish. Why? Ein ledavar sof. Because the im kain mechatzer lechatzer me'ir le'ir, you should also be chayshish. And ein ledavar sof, it has absolutely no end. This doesn't stop anywhere. We'll be baidik together 2 villages. There's a 3rd village. There's a 4th village. There's rats. This ein ledavar sof. And therefore, something that has no solution, we're not chayshish for. Because the only eitzah that would be is that the whole Klal Yisrael does bdikas chametz simultaneously. Everybody. And by the way, it still wouldn't help. You know why? They can go to a guy's house. They can go to the garbage dump. Let's say Klal Yisrael does bdikas chametz simultaneously, which of course doesn't make sense. It's not happening. It doesn't make sense. Maybe today with WhatsApp, maybe. But certainly not then. You have a big house, I have a small house, you work fast, I work slow, whatever. It's just completely ridiculous. But even yet say yes. Rats don't care. They go to a guy's house, they go to a garbage dump, they bring in chametz. So what do you? So the whole world now has to do bdikas chametz simultaneously. Now this is all ridiculous. These are all senseless ideas. And b'meila the Chachamim understood that this is not something you could worry about. Ein ledavar sof, it's not something you worry about, they don't worry about it. We're not chayshish. And halachically, we do not acknowledge this problem.
So why don't we...
Let's see Rashi, 1 second, Rashi. She'im kain, shabasa lachosh l'kach. If you want to be afraid, I have no problem. Be afraid from house to house. Be afraid from floor to floor. Be afraid from room to room. But then, gam mechatzer l'chatzer yeshloim l'kach. Be consistent. Rats don't stop. They don't care. They would go from a courtyard to a courtyard. Yesh loimakach. Ani badakti koydem lachaveri. I did bdika before my friend. Uva'achar bdikasi after my bdika. V'yechol du chametz mechatzer chaveri lechatzeri. The rat went into your courtyard, took chametz, and came to mine. Ve'ein ledava soif. V'lav chatzer mamish kamen lekol batei achatzer kari chatzer. We don't mean the chatzer itself. We mean the houses in the chatzer. That's the Mishnah. Ein ledava soif, and therefore ein chayshishin. We're not chayshish.
So if somebody finds the comments during Pesach, why don't you always attribute to older?
No, if you see, we're going to see in a moment. This is all you didn't see. That's going to be the Gemarah. Zog the Gemarah. Time, and the reason is the loichazina, the shakal. The reason we're not afraid is because we did not see the weasel or the rat taking chametz and bringing it there. Hachazina the shakal. What happens if I saw? Then chayshinon. Then of course you're afraid. Ubayi bdika, and you have to do bdika. In other words, we see from the Mishnah that we say ein chayshishin because we did not see it happen. We Pasha did not see it happen. The Mishnah said ein chayshishin shema. What's shema? Maybe. Rashi says hachazinon shevi yasilakan. What if we have seen? What if I'm sitting on my couch after bdikas chametz and what do I see? I see a rat running in with a bagel. And then what? Then what? Chayshinon shema dayan ukan. Now you don't see where if the rat stays right in front of you with the bagel. Great, take the bagel, but you don't see it. The rat goes somewhere, right? The rat doesn't hang around near you. It goes into a wall. What happens now? So chayshinon shema dayan ukan v'tzarich livdik, and you have to be boidik. That's clear from the Mishnah. Ein chayshishin shema girachulda. You haven't seen it. It's only maybe. So we say, this maybe is never going to end. Maybe. No b'dikas chametz in the world will ever be good. So just quit. Don't make b'dikas chametz. Fine. we're not chayshish with it. It's obviously not a vada. It's a chashash ba'alma. It's a chashash. And it's ein ledava soif, meaning there's no solution. We're not chayshish. But if it's not a chashash, if it's a reality, chazina de shakal, then it's clear from the Mishnah, you would have to do another b'dikas chametz. You have to check your house again because there's chametz in your house. Even then, you shouldn't have to do b'dikas chametz. Why? We should say that the rat ate up the chametz. Is this a right thing to question? Maybe he didn't eat up the chametz. Miloi tanan, have we not learned a Mishnah Meseches Ahalos? Fascinating Mishnah. Needs a little introduction, and the introduction is. In those days, many Gentiles who worshipped idols had a custom. When their wives would have a stillbirth, a baby was born that was lifeless, they would keep it in the house. They would just take the corpse and leave it in the house. Which means if you move into the home of a Gentile, then there were many babies, there were many miscarriages, and many stillbirths. Shaloi berech beyond what's today, because of the medical revolutions and changes. So this was a very common thing. And they were all in the house. So if you move into a Gentile's house, you have Tumah. Let's say you're a Kohen, and you're not a Kohen, you're a Yisrael, then Tawana, you want to go to the Beis HaMikdash for Pesach. You have to be Chayshish that you're Tumah. Now there's two types of Tumas with a corpse. There's Tumas Oyhel. Tumas Oyhel means you don't have to touch it. If you're under the same roof, you're already Tumah. The question is there tumas oil by Gentiles? By Yidden it says, Adam ki yamos ba'oil. When a Jewish corpse is in a hospital or in a house, somebody died in a house, everybody in the house is tamei if they're under the same roof. What about a Gentile? So it's a machlokes in Gemarah. Reb Shimon ben Yochai holds, no. A guy is not metame ba'oil. Only maga mas, only if you touch the corpse or you carry it. Because he says, it says, Adam ki yamos ba'oil, atem kruyim Adam. Ve'nakum kruyim Adam, the Gemara says in Yevamos, it's not part of the word Adam. So therefore, it would be a less concern. According to the Chachamim, you walk into the house of a Gentile, you live there, you're already tamei. You may be tamei if there's a stillborn. Even according to Rabbi, it's a problem because you may carry something, you may touch it. So therefore comes this Mishnah Masechta Alos. Says the Mishnah Medoros of the Kechavim, residents of idol worshippers, Tmeim, you have to assume that they are tamei. Why? Not because I know for sure, but I have to assume that there is tumah. And therefore, one has to behave as though there is tumah in this house. How long does the idolater have to live in a place that the house needs bdika? In other words, if you want to go live into that house, you have to first do not bdikas chametz, but bdikas nefalim. You have to look for corpses. A little funny thing, a little spooky, but that's what it is. How long, if he just walks into the house? No, arba'yim yom. Minimal 40 days. Why 40 days? It takes 40 days for the fetus to develop to a point that it would be metame. If it's less than 40 days, if a woman releases some blood and this, that's not tumas meis. After 40 days, there's something of it's called yitziras havlad. The vlad begins to, the fetus begins to form that if she miscarries, then it could already be metame tumas meis. So if he's not there 40 days, ein echanami. The Meiri says she could have been pregnant before and come in there 9 months. So we're not adding more sveikas. We're not. You're right. Even if they just walk in, even if they're there for a day, right? Even in a hotel room, ein echanami. If we're choshesh for that. Arba'yim yom. Afal pi shein lo yisha. Even though he's a bachelor, he doesn't have a wife. So what's the problem? Of course, the issue is that not everybody needs a wife in order to do what they want to do. He may bring in a woman, and even though they're not married officially, right? She may have a miscarriage there or a stillbirth there. It doesn't have to do if he's married or not, because there was not necessarily a definition. There was not the behavior of loyalty and marriage and so forth. So therefore, it's irrelevant. But here comes the key. Any house that's available for a chulda is a weasel or a chazer or a pig to walk around. You don't have to be boidek. Why? Because they smell out soft corpses right away. And if they're hanging, if this house has, if pigs and weasels have access to this house, they'll already do the b'dika for you. They'll get rid of it. In other words, even if he buried the corpse of a baby there, halacha assumes they dug it up and they ate it. That's what we assume, and therefore you're good. You can go move in and you're good. You're a Kohen, a Levi, a Yisrael. You're not Tameh. What do we see from here?
Did you feel the rat ate it?
We feel he ate it. Oy bazoi, even if I saw a rat running into my dining room, Erev Pesach in the morning after B'dikas Chametz, and where did it go? It ran in somewhere and I don't know where it is. Why do we say, from the Mishnah we say I have to do a new B'dikas Chametz and look for the bread? That's the halacha. And if I didn't do bittul, I'll be over on Bayi Monsey. Why? Because there's chametz in my house. At least there's a chash chametz in my house. Maybe the rat left the house, but maybe not. I don't know. The point is, there's real chametz in my house. Perhaps. I have to do b'dika. Why don't we say, like the Mishnah says, it ate it? Chalti. Amar B'Zayda, let's see Rashi. Miloi Tanan, b'meseches ahalois, medoides evdi chavim tneim, neshakayvrin nefleim b'batayim. They bury their fetus in the house. And the guy is metame after death, even the ba'oil. Even Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, who says they don't transfer impurity only, not through, they don't transfer impurity through a tent. But if you touch it or carry it, he concedes the Torah only excludes them from the tumas oil because it says odom kiyam well, but all the other impurities applies equally. When he leaves and you want to move in, time it takes to form a fetus. We suspect them of promiscuity, of harlotry. If there is a fetus there, they dug it up and they ate it. Abzeda answered, like kasha, there's no question. You got to know the appetite of the animals. The Mishnah Maseches Allah is talking about flesh, meat of a body, guf adam. We're talking about bread, chametz, belechem, basar belechem, bebasar loy mashayra. When it comes to flesh, to meat, we assume they don't leave it over. And therefore, if it's a place that the chulda and the chazer have easy access to it, we can assume it's gone. The lechem is shaira, but the weasel or the rat will leave over bread, and therefore, when you see it coming into your house with chametz, you can't assume that it ate it up for sure. May have eaten it, but may have not. Therefore, you have to do b'dikas chametz. Rashi, according to their nature, they usually do not leave it over. Omar Rava says, "Hi, mai." What's the question, b'chlal? Rabbi Zayda is giving a whole answer. This is lechem. This is basar. Rava says, "Hi, mai." There's no question. In other words, even if you want to say that basar is not different than lechem, there's no question. Over there, when you're moving into the house of a goy, of an idolater, I know why you don't have to check the house if pigs and weasels can hang out there. Why? You're not sure that there's a stillborn baby. You can't be sure that the idolater, when he was living there for a year or 2 years or even 10 years, buried a baby there. You could say there was. You could say not. And therefore, even if you want to say there is, you could say that the weasel already ate it. But here, the vadai. It's not it's for sure there's chametz in the house. The chazina, the shaka. I saw a rat taking bread and bringing it in. Now you want to say that I have to assume for sure that it ate it. Have a suffix of vadai. It's a suffix, a doubt, versus a vadai, a certain. It's a suffix if the weasel or the rat ate the chametz. But the other side is an absolute certain knowledge that there was chametz. A suffix can't be moitzi, can't nullify, can't extract, can't take me out of a vadai. How could you compare it to the first case? Rashi explains beautifully. Hi, my keloimar, my kush. I don't see the question. Let's say they could even say that they leave over meat, just like they leave over bread. There's nothing to be afraid there. There it's just a concern, meaning a concern means there's no basis. You don't have a basis to assume for sure that there's a corpse. So if weasels are common in near the house, we attribute a leniency, and we say, even if there was, you could say she ate it. You understand? The suffix achille could release you from the suffix ashlocha. Suffix ashlocha means if the guy threw a baby somewhere in a closet, so it's only a suffix ashlocha. Maybe yes, maybe not. So since it's a maybe, so the second maybe the chulda ate it, maybe the chulda didn't eat it. That suffix can take out from the first suffix. What we would call a svek sveka. Svek sveka means it's not one suffix. Maybe there's a baby, maybe there's not a baby. Maybe there's no baby. Even if there is a baby, which I'm not sure, that's itself is a maybe, there's another maybe. And that is, maybe they ate it. So the first suffix is cancelled out by the second suffix. If you only have a suffix, it's called Sveika Derais. It's a big suffix. You have a suffix. Yes, no. 50-50. Let's say 50-50. I don't know. So you should say you have a suffix. But since I have a second suffix, which cancels out the first suffix, that's called Svek. So therefore, suffix achila is moitzi midei suffix hashlocha. Statistically. Aval hache gabe chametz, here by chametz, the kashil heche the chazinon. You're asking heche the chazinon, the garer nami neima achalte vadei have. Here, you saw it, now you want to say maybe she ate it, it's a vadei. Mi emer da achalte, have a suffix beer. The eating is a suffix beer, maybe it's gone, maybe it's not. Vadei chametz hayakan. Vein suffix heter, moitzi esabai esazem, de vadei yisr. There's a vadei yisr, not 50%, 100%. We saw a piece of chametz. Now you want that a suffix, that maybe there was beer, maybe there wasn't beer, should take out, should release you from the responsibility of dick. That doesn't make sense. A person has a house filled with chametz. Forget about a weasel. Forget about a rat. And then somebody says, maybe somebody did dikkas chametz. Okay, but maybe not. Vadai, there's chametz. Suffix, that there's no chametz because she ate it. Ein suffix might see me they vadai. That's what the Rava says. I don't see the question, Bechlal, how you're comparing the Mishnah and Alois, where it's a suffix and a suffix, to our discussion here, which is a Vada and a suffix.
It's a different meaning.
Huh?
It's a different meaning. Terumah and Chametz.
Enochanami. Zog the Gemara, 1 second. Ve'ein suffix, moitzi midei vadai. Is this really true? A suffix can't be moitzi midei vadai? If there's a vadai isur, and there's a suffix, we have a principle that we're going to explain, where a suffix could take out from a vadai. Now here we have to understand, what's even the question? Why would a suffix be moitzi midei vadai? I mean, how can a suffix be more powerful than a vadai? Vada is, there was for sure chametz. Suffix is, but maybe she ate it. Maybe, yeah, maybe not. How could that take away from a vada? But obviously, the Mefarshim explained, Tosfos says here, that this is not a regular suffix. This is a suffix that's called karoiv levadai. It's not a regular suffix, it's called karoiv levadai. If you take a look in Tosfos, ve'imtim tzeloy marhava emur achalte. Yeah? If you say there's a baby, you could say that what? That the weasel ate it. Residents of idolatry of Goyim are called Rishus HaYachid. Utnan b'Masechta Taras, kol makom shatayachal lahar b'sveikas b'Rishus HaYachid tamei. There's a difference between an uncertain tumah in Rishus HaRabim and a suffix tumah in Rishus HaYachid. Suffix tumah in Rishus HaRabim is tahir. Suffix tumah in Rishus HaYachid, if it's a Rishus HaYachid and it's a suffix tumah, even if it's many sveikas, we learn out from Saita that it's tamei. Frek Tosfos, this is a Rishus HaYachid, it's a house. And you're asking if it's tamei or not. As many sveikas as there are, it should be tamei, because it's suffix tumah b'Rishus HaYachid. It's a suffix sveika, but that's what he says. Even sveikas are tamei. It's a different type of suffix. Suffix tumah b'Rishus HaYachid tamei is talking about this for sure tumah. The question is, did you touch it or didn't touch it? Here, it's a question if there's tumah b'chlal. It's not a suffix tumah. It's a suffix if there is tumah. It's like a suffix if you walk into the house. That's already a different type of suffix completely. It's not a suffix tumah b'Rishus HaYachid. It's a suffix if you're b'chlal dealing with tumah. There's no need to assume that there's a baby. Inami, emer achalte adif meshar sveikas. Saying that a weasel ate it is different than other doubts. The suffix haragilhu v'karev levadai. This is a unique suffix. To say that an animal ate food, I can't swear, I can't say for sure, but it's karev levadai. An animal has food, it eats it. It's a suffix haragil. It's very, very common. Teida havaraya, da filu midei vadai boile me mashiach is a suffix. The Gemara is going to want to prove that this type of suffix should be moitzi midei vadai. How can you make sense of that? The Gemara is going to ask, v'chein suffix moitzi midei vadai? It's ridiculous. You have a vadai chametz, you have a suffix, beer? How could you even think that the suffix should cancel out the vadai? Is the charaya? It's not a regular suffix. This is a suffix that statistically is karev levada. It's not vadai because the chametz I saw, the eating I didn't see. I would have seen both. It's a vadai and a vadai. The rat came in with chametz, and then I see the rat ate the chametz. That's good. I saw the rat come in with chametz. I did not see the rat eat chametz, so it's a suffix and a vadai. But it's a different type of suffix. That's why the Gemara is now asking, there ain't suffix moitzi midei vadai. Can this type of suffix not be moitzi midei vadai? V'atanya, we had a brayso. The brayso says as follows, very interesting case. Chaver shemes, a chaver who died. You know what a chaver is? A chaver is a Jew. A chaver means a friend. Okay? This was a term that was used for Talmidei Chachamim, who were very, very careful when it came to purity, impurity, maisrus. They were extremely meticulous. There was so many halachas involved that we don't have today. Tumah and Tara, Trumas, maisrus, and a chaver were the groups of people that you knew they were scrupulous. The reason they're called chaverim, the Rambam says, is because real Talmidei Chachamim are filled with friendship and love. The sign of a real Talmid Chacham is that he's a chaver. He loves people. If not, it's not a Talmid Chacham. That's why they're called chaverim. It's interesting. When the Gemarah wants to describe Talmidei Chachamim, the slang during Bayis Sheni and during the time of the Gemarah was chaverim, friends. What's the shaykhs? Friend means a friend, a good friend. But that's the word, chaver. It's very interesting. Chaver is a friend, but what does it mean? Well, how do you know he's a friend? Because he was Nizir and Tumah and Tara and Trumas and Meisus and all that. That makes him a friend. In other words, connection to Yiddishkeit makes the person, a real connection to Yiddishkeit makes the person more friendly, more loving. If not, there's something missing. So now here's the problem. Chaver Shemes, he died. V'hiniach megurim alei Paris. He left in his house a megura is a drawer or a storage place that's filled with fruits. Okay. Afilu hein bnei yaiman. Even if you could see that it's fresh. It's fresh today. What do we mean fresh today? Basically, you could see that he just smoothed out the pile. It's fresh from the field. You can assume that it was tithed, even though he died. What does this mean? A chaver is somebody who we know gives Terumah and Maestris. He tithes all the produce and fruits. So therefore we trust him. Somebody who's not careful, when we buy fruits from them, we have to give Meiser on our own. It's called Dmai. Dmai means da mai. What is this? Because we don't know. But a chaver, if you buy fruits from him, you know for sure he took care of it, so you don't have to worry. The problem is he died. And now the family wants to go in and take the fruit, so they have to give Meiser or not. So you'll say, oh, he took care of it. But you say, 1 second. What if it's Bnei Yaiman? If you could see that it's fresh, he just brought it in from the field, so he may have not had time. We assume that he gave Meiser before he died. Of course, it's talking about that he could have given Meiser before he died. If he was in the hospital, he couldn't have given Meiser. We're talking about he could have. Let's think about this. These peiros are for short tevel. Fruits, when they're harvested from a tree, are for short tevel. Tevel is a combination of 2 words. Tav, loy, not good. Until you don't give the trumas and the maestris, it's not good. So it's for short tevel. Why? Because they were harvested, they're complete, and they're brought into the house. Right. The suffik musarin, suffik loy musar. We're not sure there was meiser. It's a doubt. Maybe he tithed and maybe he did not. Nonetheless, because he's suffik, and the suffik that perhaps he gave meiser takes out the peiros from a state of tevel, which is avada. In other words, even though it's not certain that this chacham gave meiser, nonetheless the Braisa lets us eat the fruits. Why? Because most of the chaverim will be very careful to give meiser immediately, and therefore we assume even before he died he gave the meiser. He didn't push it off for tomorrow. So therefore, even though it's not certain, we still let it go. So what's a very interesting concept there? Vadai tevel, suffik meiser. But since it's a suffik that's very, very common, because this is how Talmidei Chachamim behave, the suffik is moitzi midei vadai. If so, what do we see here? That a suffik could be moitzi midei vadai. You don't say, sorry, vadai tevel, suffik meiser. It's a type of suffik that you could say moitzi midei vadai. So why is it so obvious here that it's not the case? That Rabbi says, Haimai, doesn't make sense, it's a suffik and a vadai, ain't suffik moitzi midei vadai, it is moitzi. So the Gemarah Hasim over there, vadayu vadayu. It's not suffik and vadai, it's vadai. The vadai ma'asri. Even though we haven't seen it, we can assume the same certainty that we know it's tevel. We could say with the same certainty that he tithed it. The Reb Chanina Chazah, like it was said by Reb Chanina Chazah, Reb Chanina Chazah, Reb Chanina Chazah from a place called Chazah said, Chazaka al chaver shein moitzi mitachas yadei davar shein mesuk. It's a chazaka, it's an assumption that every chaver, every Talmid Chacham does not let go from his hand something that's not fixed. In other words, if he let go of these fruits, if he left it in the room, he for sure took care of it. Because he does not want anybody to make a mistake and stumble on it. It's not shayich that he did not do it. Is it possible? Of course it's possible. But this is something that we have a chazak, we assume al chaver, she'nei moitzim tachsodav she'nei mezuk. Once it leaves his hand, he makes sure that it's fixed. Mesukan means it's tithed, it's repaired. This is a chazaka. So just like we're certain that the peiros were tevel, we're also certain that now they're mutter, even though he died the same day, because we could be certain that he ties them. If it was a suffix, it's not Monsey Midei Vadai. But this is not a suffix. This is a Vadai. This is a Vadai. Let's see Rashi. Megura, Goyrin. The Chaver puts the Paris in the Megura in the storage place. Bnei Yoiman, even if it's Bnei Yoiman. The Nikarin Hein Shayom Nismarch. You could see today he smoothed out the pile. This is talking about grain. You bring in grain and he smoothed out the pile. You could see that it was done today. In other words, it's fresh. It's not like it's in the house for a few weeks. It's mamish fresh. So that means if he gave Monsey, he had to do it right before he died. He didn't have a lot of time. So you would think maybe it's a suffix. Since it's smoothed out, and it's in the house, the whole Megura Babayasi, a Megura storage room is in the house. Vaday Tvili, it's for short tevel. The Hanigmera Malachton, Vero Pnei Abayis, the whole Shem Tevel Alei and Mishar Shero Pnei Abayis. It's for short tevel because it was processed and it saw the house, and from the moment it saw the house, it became tevel. What Rashi is telling here is saying that for Paris to become tevel, which means for Paris to become forbidden to eat until you give Terumah and Maasros, two things have to happen. First of all, it has to be Nigmar Malachton, it's ready, it's edible, it's ready, you finish the malacha. When it's on the tree, it's not tevel yet. You have to bring it in, but not only is it off the tree, you have to bring it into the house. It's called Roya Pnei Habayis. You have to bring it into the house. The same is true with grain. Grain is much more, because it's not like a fruit that's ready. You have to harvest it. If you keep it in the field, it's not mechuyev and meiser yet. You have to thresh it, and you have to remove the chaff, all the malachas of Shabbos, of harvesting, and threshing, and winnowing, and selecting, and then you make a carry, you make a pile of kernels, and you smooth it out. That's the first step. That's called Nigmar Malachton. It's ready. Now you could take the kernels and grind them into flour and bake bread. But it's not enough. Roya Pnei Abayis. You have to bring it into the house. You bring it into the house. It saw the face of the house. So then it becomes tevel and it's mechuyev and mais. That's why we know for sure that these Paris or this grain is tevel. Why? It's in the house and it's smoothed out. So he brought it into the house. So it's for sure tevel. Suffolk Eastern covers as Suffolk Loyiston. We don't know if he gave Meiser. For us, he's Suffolk Zel. Meitzi Peres Alolo Medei Vadei Tevel. Mishum de Reiv Chavei Master Men Miyam. Kedem Sheyanich Metachas Yodei. Based on the majority trumps the certainty. Statistically, it doesn't make sense. Let's say it's 80% yes, but it's 100% no. And for the Gemarah Hasam Vadayu Vadayu Ki Heiche de Pshittelon de Tvilim Meikara Achanami Pshittelon de Asriyu Ve'ein Gimgum. It's not Roiv. It's called Vadayu Vadayu Ve'hiluch Acher Roiv Bedavar. It's not you going according to the majority. El Chazaka Vada Al Kol HaChavera. A Chazaka means that we assume it as a Vada. It's a certain thing. In other words, if he's a Chaver, it's obvious this is how he did it. Even though we haven't seen him do it, it's a Vada and a Vada. It's not called Roiv. This is the minig. It usually happens. It's not a suffix anymore. It's a vade and vade. And that's why you can't compare it to our case. In our case, you can't say for sure the rat ate it. Rats can put away food. It's a suffix. It's karav levade. It's ruggle, but you can't say vade. Because we have seen rats put away food. Maybe she put away the bread. But to say that what? That by the chaver, it's a suffix. It's not a suffix. It's not suffix. It's a vade and a vade.
What's the vade? So if we see this smooth pile, it's a vade tevel? Or it's a
Vadai Tavel, and it's a Vadai that if he let it go, he left the room, it's Mesukan already. He already took away.
What if he just moves him out? So we don't know how he died. So basically, he's like.
Obviously, if he couldn't do it before his death, then we don't say that. We're talking about in a case where he could have given Meiser before his death.
But if it smooths out, it doesn't mean that.
He dies in his sleep that night, but during the day he was functioning. So we say he didn't wait till tomorrow to give Meiser. He already gave, because Chazaka. He does not release from his hand something that's not fixed.
If it's memeruach, at that point he was.
If it's mechuyev and meiser, he did it already. He did it already.
So it's not vadei tevel.
Obviously, if he was very sick and somebody else, it was vadei tevel, and it was vadei meiser. Both are vadei. Vadei moitzi medei vadei. He doesn't want basically his family, his children, should come and eat the fruits or eat the kernels. and be eating tevel. He doesn't want anybody should stumble. So that's why immediately he just takes care of it. Because remember, as long as you don't give trumas and maasros, you're not allowed to eat it. So he immediately takes care of it. He does not let it go until it's done. It's like some people are that way. They will not allow it to remain there even for a few hours or a few days without it being mesukkan. So even though he died later that day, if there was a chance for him to do it, again, if there was no chance, if he was in the hospital, you don't say this. We're talking about if there was a chance for him to do it.
So basically they don't procrastinate.
They don't procrastinate, yeah. There's another way of answering safek v'safekum. It's actually a doubt and a doubt. Why? Because you could say that the Peiros never became tevel. Rabbi Shia, like the halach of Rabbi Shia said, very interesting halach. Mayrim adam al tfuasai. A person could make a trick when it comes to his grain. Umachnisa b'moitzshala. You bring it into the house when it's still in the chaff. When it's still in the chaff. Meaning, here is a wheat field. This is a wheat field, right? I'm just using wheat, but this is a wheat field, right? Here you have a stalk of wheat. Okay? This is called mites, chaff. Inside of this, you have seeds, kernels, right? When we harvest wheat, what do? We do this. You harvest wheat, and then you have what's called disha. You have to bang, you have to thresh, you have to beat the chaff, the mites. You have to beat it so it separates, and the kernels come out. Then you do winnowing, and then you do boiling and selecting, and then you make a pile of seeds, of kernels. You bring it into the house after you do this, and you have a pile. You have it in your garage, in your attic, wherever it is, your porch, your chutzner, wherever you keep it. And then if you want to bake bread, you take kernels and you grind it, and it turns into flour, right? This is where our white flour comes from. And you knead it with water, and then you bake it. And those are the first 11 malachas of the Islamites malachas of Shabbos, in the beginning of Perik Zayin of Maseches Shabbos, the 39 malachas, the first 11, Sedura de Pas, is plowing, and planting, and harvesting, and making bundles, and threshing, and winnowing, right? Zoyre, it's called Zoyre, and then Boire, you have to remove the dirt, and then there's Teichen, there's grinding, Merakeh, sifting, and kneading, and baking, or cooking. That's how it works. What if you bring this into your house? Machnis adam b'moitz. This is a trick. It's a trick. Why? The only time it's going to be mechuyev and meiser is after Gemarah Malacha. As long as your wheat looks like this, it's not Gemarah Malacha, it's not processed. This is not edible. Can't do anything with this. You first have to get the kernels out. So you have to get it out of the moitz. Moitz is the klipa, the husk, the chaff. Right? Once it's a pile of kernels, that's called keri. Miruach HaKeri means it's a smoothed out pile. Now you bring it into the house, it becomes mechuyev and meiser. So you need two conditions. Gemarah Malacha, that is processed. Number two, Gemarah Malacha, that's roya pnei abayis. We learned this out from the Psukim. Reish is goncha, it has to be after digun, after smoothing, you have to bring it into your house. Once you bring it into the house, now it's mechuyev. So Rabbi Shia said, you can make a trick. What's the trick? You bring it into your house with the mites, with the chaff. Machnis kedei shetehei behemtoi oicheles. You want your animal to eat. Upturim and amaiser. And your animals can eat up all these kernels, and you never have to give any meiser. Why? Because you brought it in a way that it's not mechuyev and meiser. Now really, you can also eat it. But for the person himself, the Rabbanon made a gzeira that he shouldn't eat it achilas kva. You shouldn't use it as a meal. You can also snack on it, called achilas ara. But they said a person can't use this as a meal because they were afraid. All trumas and meisus will stop. Everybody will bring it in this way. You'll do the work in the house, right? And that's it. The whole game will be over. So the Chachamim were geyser that you can only snack on it. If you want to do achilas kva, you have to do trumas and meisus. But animal eating is like you snacking. It's basically called a snack. That's why he says, so your animal can eat it and you pater for meiser. Oy bazoi. When you say that the chaver died and we're not sure he gave meiser or not, that's true. But we're also not sure that it's tevel. We're not sure that it's tevel. It's a suffix. Because maybe he followed the advice of Rabbi Shia, which is permissible in halacha, right? So therefore, it's a suffix meiser, suffix not, but it's also a suffix tevel. So it's a suffix moitzim midei suffix. Maybe it's tevel, maybe it's not tevel. Even if it is tevel, he's a chaver. Roiv chaverim amaser. Yeah. It's not an isser. Maidim doesn't mean it's forbidden. Maidim just means it's a trick, but it's a forbidden trick. Like an Erev is also a trick, right? Selling chametz is a trick. A trick here doesn't mean that it's not true. A trick just means you're outsmarting the system.
But then it's also vade, because it's vade that it was not taken through. So it's not the same.
No, the point is we're not sure if it's tevel or not tevel. It may be tevel, it may not be tevel, right? But even if it's like the story with the corpses in the guy of the house. Is there a corpse or not? We don't know. Maybe yes, maybe not. Even yes, right? Maybe the weasel ate it. Same thing here. It's a suffix and suffix. It's not a suffix and vada.
No, but if he brings the kernels inside the stalks still, there's a chops and stuff. So he knows that it's.
But we don't know how. We don't know about that.
He didn't take mice, right? He took it for snack for the Amos.
But maybe afterwards he processed it.
When he processed, then we will see the pile, and then we will just give.
No, we see the pile. But we don't know how it was brought in. We don't know. He didn't tell us. He died.
It doesn't matter how it's brought in. If you see the pile, it means that he did the miser. If he didn't see the pile, if you see the pile only of stalks, that means for sure he did the trick.
Right. If you see it in the chaffs, then you know. But you don't see it in the chaffs anymore. You see it after the malacha.
After malacha, we already said that it's vade, because he's a chab.
But not if he brought it in first.
But if he brought it in as this, then we would see it as a different pile. It's not a pile of.
No. Maybe he brought it in with chaffs, right?
Yes.
Last week. And this week he got rid of the chaffs, and now there's a pile.
If he gets rid of the chaff, we assume that he gives away master right away.
Good.
So
that's the word. Suffix tevel, suffix not tevel. And even if it was tevel, right, we're not sure. So suffix.
No, what I'm trying to say that it's a vade
Meiser?
So
the first answer of the Gemarah is vadai. The second answer, even if you want to say it's not a vadai, we can't say 100% is Meiser. It's fine, because even if it's not a vadai, the vadai doesn't have to, the suffix doesn't have to cancel out a vadai, just has to cancel out a suffix. Because it may have not been tevel, so b'chlal you don't have a problem. Take a look at Rashi. Let's see Rashi. V'boy is saying a suffix v'suffixu. Just as you have a suffix. If there was meiser or there was no meiser, you have the same suffix if it was ever tevel. You could say it never became tevel. The pile is smoothed out and it's in the house. You could say, he brought it in with the chaff, and then he threshed it. He beat it in the house. And he did it in the house. When does it become tevel? When is the obligation to give ma'is? And if not, it's tevel only when it sees the face of the house, meaning when you bring it into the house. But you have to bring it into the house as something that's ready, as something that was processed. When you brought it into the house, it was not Nigmerah melachton, it's still in the chaff, so there's no shem tevel. Ukshagamar melachton, and when he finished it, when he smoothed it out and he threshed it, he said, kvar b'toich habayisu. It's already in the house. It never saw the face of the house. What does it mean, the face of the house? It has to bring it in through the doors. Kedetanya, we learned a brayis chsidim arishonim ayamachnisim perisein derech traksmoin k'dei lechavim b'maisa achshav machnisim derech gagos chatzeros karpifos labayis k'dei lepoitro. The early Hasidim pious Jews used to bring in the peiros directly through the entrance because they wanted it to be mechuyev in Maisa. Today we deliver it through the roofs and through different ways, so it shouldn't go in through the face of the house, the opening of the house, in order to exempt it. Hilchach l'chayla layushem tevel, so it never became tevel. Umuter hayoyrish azel lo'oichlan achilas kva. If it never became tevel, really the yoyrish, the ear, he dies. The child, the yoyrish, can eat it achilas kva min haTorah. He can eat it as a regular food without giving meiser. The leitame don't say you should say 1 second. You could snack. The Brisa doesn't say you could snack. The Brisa says becheskas misukonin. You could just eat it. But l'cha'ida achilas kva mia litzuru. The hada mitzvah achilas kva koidem kviyas goyden ugmar melachimederabbananu. The gabe issa derabbanan samchinan achaskas cheskas chavash istru. You understand? The Rabbanan did prohibit you to eat this as a permanent meal. They only allowed your animal to eat it and for a snack. But here, since it's only an issa derabbanan, the achilas kva, before it became Gemarah Malachi, before it became completely only Midrabanon. So this issue we could rely on the Cheskas Chaver. We could rely that he gave Maisa before he died. That we rely on. Minat Torah, if it was Tevel Minat Torah, ain't Safik, Moitzi, Midei Vadai. But since it's not Tevel, Vadai Minat Torah, because it's a Safik, maybe it's not Tevel. The only way it would be Tevel is for Achilas Kva Midrabanon. So for this, we could rely on the Cheskas Chaver to be Moitzi from the Vadai Dirabanan. In other words, even if it's not Tevel Minat Torah, it's still for Achilas Kva, Tevel, Midrabanan. On this we could rely on the Cheskas Chaver. I don't have a problem with that. My problem is the suffix should be Moitzi from a Vadai of Torah.
So for the Issa Dirabanan, you can rely on the suffix.
In other words, the Chachamim were lenient, and they said, we made an Isser, right? But in this case, we didn't make an Isser. That's the word. In this case, it's not what suffix. In this case, we didn't. It's all an Isser D'Rabbanan. In this case, we didn't make an Isser because you're dealing with a Talmud Chacham who died. In other words, usually it wouldn't be a problem. He gives Meiser. If he has to give Meiser, he gives Meiser. Right? Since he died, so we don't know. So we rely on that not to make the Isser. That's how you have to learn it. Rashi. Your animal could eat regularly. Your animal doesn't have to snack. The kol's man she'ein shem garner shall tevel alav einei oiser b'chilasar. As long as it doesn't have the status of a goyrin, a storage place, a silo garden of tevel, it's not forbidden to snack from. V'chol achilas behema legozel mishum achilas kva. And all achilas behema is called like a snack. Because a behema, it's not like a behema sits down for a meal, breakfast, lunch, supper. The behema by definition is achilas aret. The time of Masechta Peya, Machil behema lechaya laoifus. You can feed it to behema, chaya oifus, or patim and amaisus at sheyimrach until you smooth it out. Aval amaichel odom nehida loy tavel midayraisa miyu afilu koydem miruach asr lechel kva bekula Gemarah. Even before smoothing it, you're now allowed to go and have full permanent meals. You could snack on it. You can go to your field, take the kernels and snack, or even in your house. If it wasn't really a pnei abayis, achilas arayet, not achilas kva. But that's only midirabon. But Mela the Maskana is that Rava's answer was a very good answer. The rat brought in chametz is a vadai. The rat ate the chametz? Maybe yes, maybe not. Is it a suffix haragil? Yes. Karev levadai? Yes, but not vadai. I don't know. It's not vadai, and therefore you have to do b'dikas chametz. You have to do b'dikas chametz. Mashenkein by the chacham. It's either a vadai and a vadai, or it's a suffix and a suffix. Since it's a suffix and a suffix, so we could say suffix, suffix. Maybe it's not tevel, and even if it is, maybe he gave meiser. And therefore, we allow you to eat all the fruits and all the grain. You don't have to worry. You don't have to separate anything. When it comes to b'dikas chametz, we cannot say that. If you have seen the rat with the chametz, you got to go check your house for chametz, even though you already did a good b'dikas chametz. But the problem is, there may be chametz in the house. There may not be chametz in the house, but I don't know for sure. I know for sure that there was chametz in the house after b'dika because I saw the rat come in with it, and I don't know for sure that it's gone from the house. Maybe it's gone, maybe it's not gone. That's why you do b'dikas chametz. That's what b'dikas chametz is.
If you already did b'dikas chametz,
we're talking you did b'dikas chametz. If you didn't do b'dikas chametz, no problem.
Right, but you
did b'dika, you have to do a second b'dika.
But you have to already bittul. Whatever is there is kept with the hara, especially the animal touch. I'm not going to touch this food.
Bittul you have to anyway do. Bittul you do. The chiddush is you have to do b'dika, just like we always do b'dika. If I think there's chametz in my house, I do b'dika even though I'm not sure. Right? I do bittul. The Chachamim said bittul is not enough. You got to do b'dika. You're not allowed to have chametz in your house. So that's why you have to do b'dika, not only bittul. Yeah, that's why you have to do b'dika, not only bittul.
Only if you see the animal.
If you see the rat coming in with chametz. If you don't see a rat coming in with chametz, it's possible that a rat came in with chametz. Ein chayshish. That we're not chayshish. It's possible. Ein l'dav asayf. That's endless. It's always possible. There's always somewhere chametz in the world where the rat could have brought in chametz. From my neighbor, from my roof, from the alley, from another village, from another house, from another courtyard. There's always a possibility. Ein chayshish. We're not chayshish for it. We're not chayshish for that. But if I saw the rat coming with chametz, you're sitting in your dining room, Erev Pesach in the afternoon, you're preparing for your Seder, and a rat runs in with a nice bagel, and it's right there, and then it runs away, under the refrigerator. I got to do b'dikas chametz. Unless, of course, I see the rat run out with the bagel. Great. Or the rat leaves the bagel in front of me, then I'm good. Did I just take the bagel and get rid of it? But it's a chametz in my rishus.
This class is brought to you by theyeshiva.net. Please help us continue the classes. Make even a small contribution at www.theyeshiva.net/donate.